You gain control of J.K. Rowling's Twitter account for a day. What unnecessary piece of information do you add to Harry Potter lore?
Witches and wizards have microscopic beings called magi-chlorians that live within their bodies which grant them access to magic.
Voldemort was voluntarily circumcised at the age of 18.
Hagrid shaves all his body hair from the neck down.
After Book 2 and the Polyjuice experiments, Ron and Hermione permanently switched places.
Hagrid tried pho and didn't really care for it.
Voldemort doesn't have a butthole after resurrection.
I don't think I could top the post she made about wizards disappearing their poo with magic before Muggles invented toilets.
There's a witch writer called K.J. Loring famous for her Muggle book series Harold Rogers, where the protagonist engages in wacky Muggle adventures.
The My Immortal fanfic is now 100% canon, thank you. JKR.
Fred and George Weasley switched places during the Battle of Hogwarts. When George died, Fred adopted George's life, complete with cutting off his ear, because he figured George wouldn't want him to spoil the joke.
That most people don't play beyond their early 20s because they develop Quidditch arsehole.
That the Queen of England is a living Horcrux and that's why she just won't die.
The protagonist was actually the flying car and everything after is just epilogue.
Muggle orphanages know about magic, and when an orphan shows magical prowess they phone the Ministry of Magic for pickup and leave the baby outside. The ministry hasn't figured out how voicemail works and never come to pick up the children.
The Forbidden Forest is forbidden because Dumbledore and Hagrid have an illegal grow-op hidden inside. The Wizarding School is a front to launder money.
I actually always envisioned Dumbledore aggressively asking Harry, maybe even yelling, if he put his name in the Goblet of Fire.
George Weasley was adopted. Not Fred though.
I'd clarify that Dumbledore wasn't really gay. Just gay for pay. Figure that way, nobody is happy.
I'm writing a new book. I'll make her add a lot more lore by bumping community expectations.
The sock that freed Dobby was actually a Potter family heirloom, having been worn by Bobby Charlton in the 1966 FIFA World Cup final. The Potters were very quiet about how they came to acquire it.
Harry pronounces it GIF, not GIF.
Harry put his name in the Goblet of Fire.
Harry doesn't have a left pinky toe. It was the only part of him hurt by the killing curse when he was a baby. And then all of us fan theorists will wonder why Lily didn't love his left pinky toe.
The Loch Ness Monster as someone who tried Polyjuice potion with basilisk DNA.
Snape was a never nude.
Voldemort's penises also have snake-slit noses.
There is a Wizarding World version of magic, the gathering called Muggles, the Congregation.
Harry frequently entered the girls' dormitory.
How Hermione really loved pegging Ron after they got married.
Snape was a stamp collector. This is the real reason James Potter bullied him.
I would make it clear that the cursed child is not canon.
Professor Snape was a single mother.
Voldemort's parents were anti-vax.
Buckbeak was a metaphor.
Potter Puppet Pals is now canon.
Hogwarts in the 60s was a drug-fueled Technicolor dancing orgy every night, and the only reason it doesn't come up more often is because not a lot of people clearly remember it.
The Sorting Hat was %100 unnecessary for class distribution. Its primary purpose was to get rid of head lice.
When you're using the invisible cloak, you're not actually invisible, you're naked. They just choose to ignore you as to not make things awkward.
Teenage wizards would jack off in front of the hottest moving paintings.
Harry was Oregonless supposed to be Latino.
Ron and Hermione's safe word as mudblood. ETA. And now my most voted comment is about wizards fricking. Time to put on my robe and wizard hat and start writing fanfic, I guess.
I'd double down and declare that some of the older teachers at Hogwarts would forget they were supposed to use toilets now, so occasionally they'd just drop true and urinate in front of everyone.
Hagrid's dog Fluffy and Mrs. Norris were lovers.
The goblins at Gringotts don't have children. They just randomly split one day during a mitosis-like process and then go about their days. Their suits are part of this process. My amazing so.
Harry's favorite finger, for no particular reason, is his left index finger.
In order to have the feast so lovingly described, house elves of Hogwarts had perfected the art of reusing leftovers multiple times. They secretly go to cheap restaurants and learn from muggles. Recently they discovered internet, and now Dean Thomas's mother prints out for them every tip and trick she can find at Frugal Living blogs.
Twilight is absolutely in the same universe.
Buckbeak is an animagus who is fully intelligent and capable of turning back into a human at any time, but doesn't because it's his fetish.
Dobby's asshole has the same properties as a bag of holding and can expand to accommodate any object no matter the girth.
Harry and Ron used some of Hermione's hair plus Polyjuice potion to kill some time in the dormitories.
Underneath the robe, Professor McGonagall is actually two twin dwarfs standing on each other's shoulders. They take turns being on top so the other doesn't get tired.
I would 100% post that meme. J.K. Rowling reveals that you, the reader, were gay all along. But besides that, I would talk about the required procedure behind the pre-plumbing crafting wherever you want then making it disappear thing. Also, WTF JKR? Why couldn't they have had magical outhouses? Why did it have to get weird?
Even though it's very much obvious, I would like to clear the air and state, categorically, that all this time, you, my dear readers, are indeed homosexual.
All Hogwarts students are required to take a sex ed course. The teacher? Hagrid.
Completely unnecessary? For a brief time in 1956, teenage wizards used to bewitch vacuum cleaners to use in lieu of broomsticks.
Make the fan theory that the surviving Weasley twin becomes the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka later in life.
The composition of the wand means nothing. A wizard could use a plastic drinking straw and it would work just fine, as long as they expect it to work.
The Whomping Willow was gay.
All of the really batcrap information. Nagini being a cursed Korean lady. The vanishing craps. The whole cursed child play. All of that was just a Quibbler article. Oh Zeno Lovegood, you endearing fruitcake.
Israel and Palestine have a singular wizarding school. Because while the Muggles haven't, the wizards in the region came to peace hundreds of years ago. Smiley face.
Hermione's first child got aborted because it wasn't Ron's.
Harry converts to Islam.
Neville Longbottom has a 30.5 cm cock.
A scene after the Deathly Hallows ending, revealing paramedics pulling a limp 11-year-old Harry Potter from the cupboard under the stairs, and resuscitating him from carbon monoxide poisoning due to the leaky furnace. Young Harry says, "I had the most wonderful dream. I was a wizard." Uncle Vernon exclaims, "You're going to pay for the rescue wagon. And you probably broke the furnace too." Aunt Petunia calls him an insufferable child. Dudley laughs while eating an entire pie, calls Harry a wanker.
That Harry voted for Trump would probably be the quickest way to irritate the biggest swath of the fanbase.
Every piece of lore I've added to the Harry Potter world via Twitter was a mistake and should not be taken seriously. I support minority representation, but at the time, I was more focused upon finding success than wielding power I did not yet have. Nagini is not an Asian woman. Hermione was always envisioned as white. Dumbledore was not originally conceived as gay. I never had the courage to explicitly make Dumbledore gay because of fear of backlash. I have unintentionally weakened the support of all minority groups by attempting to inject association with those groups, retroactively, and I deeply apologize. I'm also ending the Fantastic Beasts franchise. I was underprepared and the scripts have gone completely awry. It was ambitious of me to try to make another franchise from source material that was effectively a fun reference material and a chance for me to make up fun little creatures in my world building. I will return to creating these fun little creatures because that's what I'm most passionate about. I would cry from relief if this was on her Twitter tomorrow. I hate how backwards she has to bend to support her ridiculous claims. Each tweet brings new fear that she'll further sully my memories of the books and movies. She needs to stop being famous, or start growing up.